So, who won the Breath of Evolution patch? Yeehaw, everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Kick back, relax, and let's talk about this. Well, this is a really interesting patch, mainly because this is like a nerf patch almost entirely when you think about it. However, there are some big winners and, of course, some huge losers in this patch. And the biggest loser of all is you. Can you imagine? No, it's not you. It's somebody else. On to the winners and losers. First up, I'm going to give you a dusting of winners, okay? I don't think we should start off with any losers right now. Let's talk about Dragapult getting a nice little buff. I think that's kind of cool. I also think Dragapult got an indirect buff because the Speedsters are way worse now. So this makes attackers in general, just like across the board, they all are doing a little bit better. Maybe they should nerf Cram because of it. Also, Dragonite gets a little bit of a buff. This is nice. You know, cooldown on Hyper Beam is always appreciated. Outrage, little extra attack speed. I'm curious to see sort of how that actually translates. So maybe the math cord could figure that out and see like what difference it really makes. I played an Outrage game and I thought this is pretty good, but Outrage is pretty good, right? Just like stunning your opponents with your boosted attacks when you're right next to them is pretty dang strong. But I don't think Outrage or Hyper Beam have been particularly meta in a while. They've always just been good builds on Dragonite. Now let's talk about some losers. Trevenant. I don't even know why we nerfed Trevenant, but if I'm gonna save the I don't know why we nerfed something, let's save that for a little later. Trevenant got a damage decrease on Woodhammer, a damage decrease on Curse, and a throw duration decrease on Hornleech. That's the one that's most confusing because I kind of understand them saying, hey, this Pokemon is doing too much damage, but now it's also stunning too much, but it's Trevenant. It's stunning, baby. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. You're stunning, darling. However, you're less stunning right now, Trevenant. I don't know. Someone out there is just mad at Trevenant, okay? I don't know if we need to nerf defenders, a class that no one wants to play in the game, even though they're all insanely good, but apparently here we are. Another loser for sure is Suicun. Multiple nerfs to this Pokemon, but there is a dusting of a winner right here, and that is the fact that Icy Wind now does more damage when the Icicle explodes, and the match I played with it, I felt like the burst was actually really cool. I've always liked the Surf Icy Wind moveset. I always thought it was like a really fun way to play the Pokemon, even though it was not as good. Like Whirlpool is just way more useful. And now the burst felt really, really solid. But overall, you can definitely feel multiple aspects of Suicun's kit get tuned down. It needed nerfs. It deserved them. Very, very fair. Still a loser, Suicun. Alolan Raichu got like kind of dinged by this patch, but it's, you know, in a movie when someone gets like shot and they're like, oh, it's over for them. They're gone. They're like, don't worry. Just in the shoulder. Apparently, if you get shot in the shoulder, by the way, it's like super chill. You shrug it off. You're back on to the next fight. I bet it's like one of the worst places in a lot of aspects. But hey, what can I say? Movies have let me know that if anyone takes damage right up here, they're okay, and that's what happened to Alolan Raichu. It took a little damage right up here, and it's okay. It still feels like it's incredibly powerful, and it has another build that was already performing well also, so if you don't want to play Stored Power Psychic, Alolan Raichu is still very, very viable. I think it's going to cut its win rate down a bit, but it'll still be a top choice. Let's head on over to another winner here, and that is Venusaur. Venusaur got a healing increase to Giga Drain, that's nice, and a move speed increase to Petal Dance, so your move speed decays less aggressively. So you used to start out with like that big burst of move speed, and then you kind of get slower and slower, and now it's not as bad. I actually felt like that part of the buff was really nice. That felt very fun. The healing, I gotta be honest, I couldn't really tell that I was healing 10% more. That actually kind of feels kind of small unless you're hitting multiple opponents with Giga Drain. The amazing thing about Giga Drain is the damage reduction that you get when you hit with a Giga Drain, right? I don't remember the exact number, but it's something solid. It's like 35% or something like that when you hit with a Giga Drain on an enemy Pokemon right here. So it doesn't count for a wild Pokemon, but it counts for an enemy Pokemon. Oh, it's 40%. I think it used to be 35, but maybe it got a buff. So it's 40% reduced damage for 2.5 seconds when you hit an enemy with your Giga Drain. So that's like the really big part of it for me, but extra healing isn't bad, right? Like a little extra healing isn't bad. However, it does feel like the big buff for Venusaur was definitely the move speed. And now this patch has two big winners. Before I start talking about losers, because there are a lot of losers out here, not you, of course. Galarian Rapidash, I actually think got multiple buffs that are reasonable. I don't know if Fairy Wind is good, but it felt a lot better. I think the big thing though is lower Unite move cooldown, always good, but its ability, Pastel Veil, getting a buff is probably the biggest thing going for this. It feels way better playing Rapidash right now. You feel a lot faster, you feel more impactful. I still don't know if it's maybe enough, but it feels considerably better than Rapidash did before, and I think that's really good. We'll have to see kind of how it shakes out. My few games with it though went pretty well. I actually felt impactful with Rapidash as opposed to, you know, last week where it felt like this was one of the worst things in the game. And finally, one of our biggest, or maybe our biggest winner is definitely Buzzwool. So your muscle gauge stays around a lot longer now. Your boosted attack heals for 30% more. Lunge got a cooldown, and I actually really like playing Lunge, but the big thing about this for sure is Leech Life. Leech Life is now something they are stuck in, and like people are not knocking you out of, like, Leech Life feels incredibly good right now. This feels like a massive buff, and when I think about Pokemon getting buffs and I think about like what I would like to see in a patch, I would like to see something go from very niche, only played by some people, you could have some really fun games on it, like Leech Life, to wow, this is actually really good. Maybe it's a little too good, I'm not sure, because it did get buffs over the course of the last year, I think to damage at some point, but it still was like cancelable, so it had those issues. But I remember playing a buffed Leech Life that already felt pretty good. This feels incredibly good. I think it's probably the biggest winner of the patch. Now let's talk about the biggest losers of the patch. There are two. They are the Speedsters, and let's talk about them. Every single Speedster got every single Speedster that got this unique defense penetration or special defense penetration a few patches ago, all got them removed. So every single Speedster that had that is now nerfed in a massive way. To be fair, it was an entire meta revolving around Speedsters. They were overbuffed. I am a little bummed, I guess, that they decided to not only remove it, but, well, first off, they removed it and like nerfed multiple Pokemon as well. But I think there could probably be a good middle ground where maybe the defense penetration was reduced, but we still had this element of Speedsters, and maybe defenses were raised other places. But unfortunately, they decided just to remove it from all Speedsters. I do think it's fair. I'm not saying it's not fair, because these things were incredibly good, but it is a little disappointing that so many Speedsters went from being top tier back to definitely good choices, but way less meta relevant. However, it does make for a very exciting meta shakeup. That much I love. So I'm kind of two minds on it. It was necessary. I would like them to still have kind of a unique aspect to them. A huge part of me is very thankful that they didn't give it to Zoroark, Dodrio. Like, that would have been crazy. I don't know if we could have handled that, but here we are, the Speedsters, all huge losers. Absol also has multiple nerfs, Night Slash, Psycho Cut, Zeraora with multiple nerfs to Discharge. All of them somewhat reasonable, and I think the Pokemon will all still be pretty good. Okay, now for one of the biggest losers of, like, maybe the biggest loser of the patch, catching more strays than I feel like I've seen since Cramorant got nerfed every single time. Receiving multiple nerfs. You know, because of the Goodra meta that we were in, and everyone complained daily about the Goodra meta, and they were like, when are we gonna stop? Oh no, we didn't ban Goodra. This is one of the wildest nerfs that we have ever had in the game, and I'm gonna read this again word for word. I did in the patch video. Goodra had high durability while dealing considerable damage. I mean, I'll I'll disagree a little bit with considerable damage, but okay. It was very durable. Especially in the veteran to ultra ranks. We have gotten the first confirmed nerf because something was stomping pub games in vet and ultra. I gotta respect it. I gotta tip my cap to it. It wasn't getting competitive play, but there are enough players who don't know how to fight it that it was actually being, it was a demon in these pub games, and it was just stomping solo queue games because people didn't know how to fight it. They didn't know to kind of just walk away from it for a second. I'm not saying Goodra was awful, by the way. I don't think it was awful. I put it B tier on my tier list, but around here, the B tier gets nerfed apparently. Still got the B tier. Maybe not for Goodra. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I would love to hear your winners and losers in the comments. If you want to leave your winner, your loser, and of course, it's not you. It's never you. You're a winner. We did it.